So Bud Light has a new investor. And by the way, they have a new commercial too. Another new commercial. You see, they keep coming out with all these commercials. But no amount of money spent is ever going to do the damage that has already been done by that one influencer. As the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, known as ABinBev, likes to say, it was just one influencer, just one campaign, buddy, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Anyway, they got none other than this gentleman, Bill Gates, who is not necessarily popular among the rank and file traditional Bud Light drinkers, of which there are very few anymore. This would be Bill Gates, as I said, very much sort of focused around a global mandate. He's very much into vaccines, of course, has pushed those aggressively. Well, here he is about a year ago on one of my former networks, CNBC, talking about how great ESG investing is, environmental social governance, which, by the way, is one of the reasons they're in the mess they're in. Anyway, he says that, Larry Fink is like the bomb, and Larry Fink, who runs BlackRock, who's making all these decisions on whether or not to invest in a company based on how ESG friendly it is. Oh, well, he's just great. Here he is. I just want to jog your memory.
No matter what you do.
Well, BlackRock and Larry in particular are a great example of private sector leadership. Anyone who says that climate shouldn't be a factor in how you evaluate the future of a company, isn't, that's not capitalism, because companies that have emissions, they are going to be subject to border adjustment tariffs or taxes. You also have to think about companies, if you're dealing with severe weather events, that's got to be factored in. Is the company ensuring that?
So he's trying to justify somehow that Larry Fink and BlackRock, they're all correct to make all these demands of companies, and that is really capitalist in its origin. I've argued that it's actually a backdoor way into a communist style regime, right? Where like one asset management company gets to make the rules for everyone else. Well, in the case of BlackRock, they kind of took it too far. And even Larry Fink has admitted, we sort of got this, we got this wrong. I mean, he's actually come out and said that, because even he's aware of all the problems it caused. I mean, when you have sort of everybody ginned up with a social cause, this or another, then you start to actually lose sight of what you're supposed to do as a company. In the case of Bud Light, it would be to make sales, right? And to continue growing sales and not alienate your company as they did. I'm going to get to the commercial that they're using to try and save the place. But before I do, remember the damage done, okay?
It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. Mm-hmm. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
And then they got that other approach, and then they lost $40 billion in doing so in overall stock market valuation. So enter from stage left none other than Mr. Bill Gates with his billions, and he's buying 1.7 million shares of the company. 1.7 million. Now, maybe he thinks he's getting a bargain here because he's only had to plunk down some $100 million for those shares. He actually, interestingly, nearly spent $1 billion on Heineken. Interesting. So he's betting big, more so on Heineken, but maybe he figures they've kind of seen the end of it. I'm not so sure, because what I've seen, and I've been looking at the sales data that comes in every week, is that you're just seeing this plunge downward. The latest numbers I saw showed a 30% decrease in sales of Bud Light. And what you're seeing is the ripple effect, right? The domino effect through the rest of the company. ABinBev is a very big conglomerate. It was purchased by a Brazilian company. It was a Brazilian beer company called InBev. And then they got together with a European company, and they go in and they buy none other than Anheuser-Busch. Anheuser-Busch, great American brand. You remember the Clydesdales, right? Great American brand. And they turned it into AB InBev. And so suddenly now they have all kinds of beer brands that they're selling all over the world. And so perhaps the investment advisor for Bill Gates is thinking, well, they've gone down as far as they're going to go. And maybe these commercials will help bring back the audience. I don't think this audience or these drinkers are coming back, period. I think they're gone, depleted. And I think it will have continuous ripple effects throughout the rest of the company and across all of their other brands. I don't think that can be undone. I mean, there's certain things that people can't unsee. You know what I'm talking about. Even when you try and play commercials like this one. So I'm not playing it at full volume because there's some music there and there's all kinds of rules about the music you can play and not play, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at this commercial, I'm showing it to you right here. What do they keep focusing on? Sort of everyday folks, right? Because that's who drinks them, and going to a football game. Because football is America. Football is everyday. Football is supposed to be Bud Light, barbecues. You see. Young guys, football team, down at Georgia Southern, they put the entire football team's faces on the Bud Light cans. And they encourage the kids in the stadium. By the way, I don't know how you can really do that because a lot of these kids are underage, but whatever. So they encourage the kids in the stadium to scan the QR code for the chance of winning a private flight over the football stadium, courtesy of Bud Light. So this is called Easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy Bud Light. And that is their new hope. I mean, they have one like every week, and it's not making a difference because they offended their drinkers in a really massive way. And let's just face it, that's an easy replacement. You can go to Coors Light. You can go to Mick Ultra, forgive me, that would be another. By the way, that is an Anheuser ABinBev company, but Coors Light, of course, is owned by Molson Coors, which has seen appreciation in their stock price. Or you can go to many, many others. I mean, the one that keeps getting the prize is Modelo. That's now the number one beer in America. Used to be Bud Light. Wow. Flame is fleeting, as they say. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.